define some new rituals for online workshops or online meetings, as we all seem to be now living in online meetings most of the time. And so if we can make them better for all of us, let's try to do that in this second exercise. We again debrief with all participants, and then that's the end of it. And we'll go to our backstage conversation, as it is our tradition and ritual in this session. And so how will we work during this session? We'll send you into Mural. So we'll be sharing on our chat a link for you guys to use to open Mural. And on this link, and I urge you then to go to chat and find the link we'll be posting, and you will see something like you can see now on screen. So there's this large canvas. The canvas is divided into a couple of instructions for exercise 1 and 2. And we have 12 different rooms. I don't think we'll be using all of them, perhaps. Perhaps we'll just use 9 or 10 of these rooms for today. And these rooms are the ones that once you go into a breakout session, once we send you into a breakout session, you'll be allocated into some room number. You might end up in, let's say, room number 7. And then when you go into this canvas on Mural, you have to first read the instructions and then go into your space, into the room number 7. They're all just next to each other, rooms 1 to 12. It should be really easy to find. So what will happen during this exercise? Let me just guide you a little bit into what we'll find. So during exercise 1, what we expect is that we'll take 3 simple steps. The first step is for you to just read a few of those examples on 5 types of rituals. So you have corporate or company rituals, social rituals, you have family rituals, brand rituals. Let's say and you just read through them and try to add 1 or 2 or 3 other rituals that you might find interesting also. No, I'll just go through 2 or 3 of them. Let's say Christmas or Thanksgiving are very common rituals in most parts of the world, and those are very much family rituals. But also you'll find rituals like at McDonald's, they expect you to put away your tray when you finish your meal. And that's something that, you don't see that in most restaurants. So it's not an order, you're not forced to do it, but they made it a social ritual at the restaurant. And so it's part of going to McDonald's. Another example, which I love, Heinz Ketchup. It was old days when you had the glass bottle. You really had to smack the back of the bottle to get all the ketchup out. And that also became a ritual associated to a brand, which was quite interesting, as it actually came from a difficulty with the product itself. So interesting rituals. And we would like you, as a step A, to add a few rituals of your own and take a few minutes to talk about those rituals that you wrote with your new colleagues in this session. And then if you have time, go into step B. Step B is to discuss why. Why do we have these rituals? What's the purpose behind these rituals? Sometimes it's about bringing people together. It's about making sense, bringing order into some situation. Just think, why do we have those rituals that you added, and why do they come out? If you still have time, go into step C, which is discuss the resilience of these rituals. What makes them strong? Why do they still continue as a ritual for a long, long, long time? Let's say the wedding ceremony. It has been a ritual for a very long time. Now it might be eroding a little bit in the recent times. Why is it so? Why is it eroding? Why are these rituals changing? Why do some rituals change? Why do some rituals still pervade? Why are they still so strong? So this is our exercise 1 that we want to go into now. Remember that once we send you into the breakout rooms, we will not be able to talk with you. And so you need to see your room number, read the exercise instructions on Mural, and then on Mural, find your room space, okay? So that you can collaborate with your colleagues from the same Zoom meeting that you will be on. I hope that's clear for everyone. Marc, is it okay? Can we send all of these people to do some work already on rituals? Hello, Marc.
Yes, I'm just getting this set up. So what I'm going to do, we have 70 people. I'm just going to put the 10 rooms. So we'll have 7 people per room. What I will say is that I will send some time reminders to everybody for your teams. We're going to try to put one DTG person in each, one design thinkers group person in each one of the rooms. It may take time for them to get to the rooms because we're doing this automatically. So we may end up with 2 design thinkers people in a room. I'll move them to another room so we have one person in each room. And if you have technical problems for whatever reason, you will be able to come back out and see me, and I will try to help you with any of those technical problems. I'm going to be moderating, if you will, from behind the scenes. I may pop into one of the meeting rooms at some point to help out if necessary. Okay. So
can people see which number they are in?
You should see your breakout room should appear at the top of your screen. And if you haven't been in one of these Zoom meetings where you go into breakout rooms, as soon as I hit open all the breakout rooms, you're going to go into a time warp, and then you're going to appear back into a breakout room with like 6 other people. And then at the top of your Zoom screen, you should see the breakout room number, and that's the place you'll need to go in Mural. Ask your colleagues who are in that room if you need help with Mural, if you're not familiar with it, or you can come back out and talk to me.
Hey, Marc, everyone's going to go into Mural anonymously. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And we have sent the link to the Mural in advance. No, that's not true.
It's in the chat.
It's in the chat. Sorry. Okay, great. Thanks, John. Okay, everybody ready? Thumbs up. Okay, guys. See you soon. Hi, Zimina. Did you have problems?
Yeah, I think it logged out. I'm sorry. Let me logged out, and then so now I'm back in. So if you can send me please to a room.
Yeah, let me see if I can get you.
Is that possible?
Just a second. All right, I will put you in room 1. There you go. Hi, Vidika. Are you ready to go into one of the rooms? Okay, I'm going to send you into room 1. Colin, Thomas.
workshops or online meetings, as we all see for whatever reason. Hi, Zmina. Did you have problems?
Yeah.
I'm sitting here talking to you and you couldn't hear me because I was on mute and I was trying to tell you guys to come off mute and here I am. Anyway, we're in breakout rooms. Welcome to the Web Jam. Sarah, I just unmuted you and Valerie as well. Hey, should I throw you guys into the meeting rooms or do you want to talk here to know what's
I don't mind. I must admit, I'm just logging in now as I had a call that overran. So I've literally just entered the chat I was on last week.
Same for me.
Yeah.
So
no
yes, this is the net.
Okay. Let me in the chat. If you guys know how to use Zoom, you can go to the chat. And in there's a mural board that was posted just above. Hopefully you can see the chat before you came in. And it says mural board URL. You need to copy and paste that into your browser and you will enter mural as an anonymous user. And then I'm going to send you to one of the rooms and you should go to the board that's on the big mural, the room that has your room number. Okay.
Great. I don't have the link for Miro. If you'd be able to share that again, if that's possible.
Sure. Yeah, it's right. Oh no, that's the YouTube. Hold on. Yeah, hold on. And there you go.
Thank you very much. That's great.
You're welcome. Okay. You got it? Are you both able to get into Mural?
Yes, I was already in Mural. I did that before
Okay.
logging into the Zoom.
Yeah, but this is a different link, Valerie.
Oh, okay.
This is the live link. Sarah, I'm going to send you into a breakout room, okay? Into number 8. So go to number 8.
Number 8, great.
And, okay, I thought I sent you in there, but.
The link is still loading. Just want to reload it now.
Yeah, it's a little bit slow.
That's the trouble with latecomers. They fit them in somewhere.
Yeah, we might just have to wait a little bit, but let me see if I can get you guys. For some reason, it's not.
I see the mural for WWJ.4 rituals, and then wait.
Yeah. Let me just check one. Okay, Valerie,
Yes, I'm in.
you're in. Okay, I need to get you into a room. You should be going to room number 10. It shows that you're in there. Is there a message on your screen somewhere saying that you're gonna? No, I'll just move you to a different room. I'll remove you to room 9. See if you go. You don't seem to be wanting to go for some reason.
I'm looking for things that I should do. Step A, step B.
No, but I'm supposed to. For some reason, you're not being moved into a meeting room.
Okay.
And normally I hit the button and you go.
Okay.
You travel through hyperspace and then you end up in a
Excellent.
meeting room. But maybe you'll just end up being here with me. And that's probably good because there's only 5 minutes left in the last session.
Okay.
You can see the mural.
Yes.
And what we're talking, were you in last week's webinar by any chance?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So what we're looking at is we're doing the exercise 1 where they're kind of exploring the different kinds of rituals that you have in life,
Mm-hmm.
and sort of brainstorming what those rituals could be. So I'd have to get into the mural myself real quick, and then maybe you and I can talk about this because I don't get to go through it either because I have to be the manager of the. For some reason, you're not going into it too. So, rituals. So I'm jumping in there right now. It's a very big mural, and apparently with all these people, it's very slow.
Yes.
Let me I have to monitor my WhatsApp as well.
So they're filling in their rituals in their daily life.
Yeah. You can probably see them populating.
Yes.
And boy, it is really slow. Okay. So there's 3 more minutes left. Just gonna chat to the.
I can actually add post-its. So I'm wondering, am I anyhow in the group? I'm not sure. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you can add something if you want to.
But I'll just wait for everybody to come back.
Yeah, that's probably the best thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
It's a big learning opportunity for all of us.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. This is the first time we're using Mural on this scale.
Mm-hmm.
And it really does tend to bog it down. And I think it's the more complicated the mural canvas is, the slower it ends up being. I've been on a call where there were 150 people working simultaneously, but it was a very simple mural. So that's a learning.
Yes. Mhm. But I myself, I'm learning to host workshops. I'm a service designer. I work on employee experiences. And I am working with my teams remotely. And so facilitating workshops remote, it's a struggle. It's a struggle.
Yeah. It's a different world that we're in, isn't it?
Yeah. Mhm.
Where are you located, Valerie?
In Ghent, in Belgium.
Ah, okay. All right. Very nice.
Mhm.
Beautiful town.
Yes. Yeah. Very quiet for the moment.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Mhm.
Is Ghent in Wallonie or in
In Flanders.
Flanders?
In Flanders.
Okay.
Where are you located?
South Carolina in the
Oh,
US.
yes. Mhm.
Yeah. But so you, vous parlez français ou
Aussi, oui, oui.
spreek Nederlands of Vlaams?
I'm very impressed now.
Yeah, I've lived in France and in the Netherlands, so
Oh, yes.
speak both languages. So people are going to be coming
I
back.
would like to live in the States for a while.
Come on over. Well, I wish I could make that happen, but unfortunately, we have a government that's a little bit weird. We've got people coming back in about 30 seconds. I just want to make sure I'm checking my messages here. Okay, so people are going to come back. I guess we're going to have to figure out what we're going to do because it's so slow. Just get back to the simple. I'm going to put myself on mute real quick. Welcome back, everybody. So if you wait just a second for everybody to get back in the main room as we've closed down the meeting rooms, then we'll have a chat about how interesting that was, both about rituals and about the challenges of the technology. And I just want to make sure that I wait until my colleagues get back in the room. But at least we had you successfully travel through hyperspace into those separate meeting rooms and then travel back from hyperspace. And it looks like everybody came back intact, which is really cool. We need to make sure we get our main man, Pedro, back. And I don't see him yet.
And here I am again.
There you are, Pedro.
Muted.
Hey.
Okay, so we feared that perhaps Mural would not take on so many people with such a large canvas. We didn't know it was also an experiment. I think if we look at it from a perspective of if you want to do a large corporate meeting, or let's say if you're a college professor and you want to organize something for 100, 150 students and break them out in different workspaces. Now we know this is difficult.
Right.
You might want to create multiple mural boards, and you have these different canvases and replicate them, and perhaps just keep 20, 30, 40 people in one single mural, especially if you have something as complex as we had. I think we really made something with graphically very demanding. It had over 1,000 little elements for so many different rooms. And so that was a big lesson learned. Now we know. It was something we didn't.
Pedro, about the content, so one of the people in my group had a good point, and it was an interesting discussion about when is something a ritual and when is something a habit. So content-wise, so is there anyone who would like to kind of say something very smart about that, or has the same kind of experience?
You can unmute yourselves now.
You can unmute yourself and just
yeah.
I think
I don't
Yeah,
know.
Hi, Vito.
I would
Sorry,
like
go
to-
ahead.
I have yes, I have an experience of when you arrange several different murals for several groups, that works better. And also, if you use the default templates of mural, that's also faster. Then
Yeah, exactly.
I would say it looks amazing. It takes a lot of preparation time, I think. But yeah, if it's possible, you can use the templates. It's better performing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
By
that's
the way,
my experience.
Yeah, you
I've
will
learned it.
you will be able to access this mural also afterwards, right? So it's also just to kind of give you maybe some inspiration and a way to think about it and to kind of as a lens. But I think Hugo, you wanted to say something.
Yeah, about your question about habits and rituals.
Yes.
And about the difference. I don't know. I think that that rituals they are involved or they are embedded with some kind of emotional response, or we perform some kind of rituals in order to enhance something or try to do some to create different results. I think we have a habit because a habit is something that we relate to some, I don't know, to some more normal stuff or more automatic stuff, and we don't give them that importance because I don't give that much importance to a habit, but perhaps I can do it to some kind of rituals. It's different feelings. I don't know if I am explaining this well.
And is it possible that a habit can become a ritual?
Yeah, it is possible. But for me, a habit is something that I do perform automatically, and I don't feel any extra emotion or any extra depth in terms of how I perceive that habit. And if I perform it a ritual, is something I know that will put myself in a position or being, I don't know, more focused, more in connection with myself, or perhaps doing something that will enable me to have a determined kind of result or performance in some kind of it's about experience. I don't see a habit as an experience. I can see a ritual as a profound, or it depends, but in a more profound way, like an experience. So all my a lot of or more senses are activated within a ritual than through a habit. I don't. I wash my teeth every day. I don't have that sense of experience that I do, for example, for meditation, or when I creating some kind of workshop or content, or when I'm trying to focus on something in order to prepare myself to get some kind of result or outcome.
But that
I
means,
think there.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead, please go ahead.
Yes, I think it has to do with the awareness. Rituals, when you make a ritual, you are aware of what are you doing. Yeah. Maybe the habit not. Maybe just you do it just because you are. It's a habit. So it's about awareness.
Yeah, it's about awareness and being mindful. I'm doing
and
this
mindful.
with a purpose.
It's about
I'm doing this with a purpose, and I'm thinking and feeling that. With a habit, it's something that it's automatic. It's something that my brain is created or acknowledged as something that will give me comfort or safety, or at least will make my life easier.
Okay, so what we could say, and I think it's important for the next exercise, actually, is that if you look at a habits, or if you're looking for rituals, there's two ways of actually kind of thinking about rituals. One is that you can design them purposely. You can say we create a sort of experience, and we do it on purpose, like the example of the unpacking of your new Apple computer, for instance. It's on purpose they created this ritual, which created meaning, and out of nothing, really, because of which is unpacking, as an example. The other thing is that you can look at behavior and you can ritualize it. You can say, hey, people do certain things. They don't really think about it, but if you look at it from afar, it's actually interesting because that community has sort of these behaviors. And you can then say, maybe we can turn them into a ritual. We can have people by creating meaning for it, or we can nudge you. So it's there. It's kind of connected to behavioral science, obviously, that we can nudge you, but like brushing your teeth. Is it a habit, or is it ritualized in the sense that you do it every morning and every evening, or with my kids after dinner? So there's specific moments in time that you gave specific meaning to it, which you never really thought about it, but maybe from afar, people will say that's actually quite a ritual, because in my community or my culture, you don't do that at all. Gave that some meaning. So all I want to say, so for the next exercise, because the ritual is a lens to look at things and see them differently. So the exercise is, can you recognize kind of habits that are specific, that you might not even think about, that maybe are, if you think about it, are actually, maybe they are rituals, or they are more specific. They are maybe what people call like moments of transition, like shaking your hand, for instance, it's a moment of transition. So it's a lens that lets you look at things that are there, but it makes you look at things anew, and which makes, to me at least, makes the lens of the rituals really interesting. So we're kind of playing with that at the moment. And there's those rituals, but there are also rituals that you can design. You can say it's like almost like an intervention. You can say, we as a brand. So one of my the people in my group said, we ring a bell when someone has a success, for instance. That's on purpose. Sylvain, please.
Yeah, hi. I'm stepping in late. Sorry, but it's an interesting discussion here. I think that from my point of view, there has to be a spiritual component to a ritual. Otherwise, it's a tool. That's one first thought, and the other one is that between the difference between a habit and a ritual, I think it depends on the context, on the moment, and also on the perspective that the person that is experiencing the so-called habit or ritual at that moment in time has. So that might be changing depending on circumstances. Sometimes, of course. And on the other hand, I think that to be a ritual, it has to have a spiritual component. Otherwise, it's just a tool, a psychological tool. That's my thoughts.
Right. Anyone else?
Arna? Wouldn't you say that habits are more personalized? It's really on an individual level, but when you start to get into rituals, it's much more of a group activity. Mm-hmm. You can have certain rituals as an individual, but I think you start to get into more of that collaborative type of approach.
So would you say, so Marc, would you say, so I get up in the morning and the first thing I do is make coffee.
Yeah.
I grind my beans. Actually, sometimes I'm thinking, I don't even like coffee in the morning, but it's that, so to me, so maybe there is that spiritual, is that a moment of Zen? I don't, so maybe that's, I think it is. It's a transition moment. It's a moment of transition. So, but it's very personal, right?
Well, it's also an ingrained habit, that you say you don't even like coffee, but it's just it's something that you do. Mm-hmm. Rituals, in terms of, spirituality or even, this is kind of an odd example to me, but I think about, my son was in a fraternity and, the initiation, all that, those are rituals as well. They're very mm-hmm. social. Mm-hmm. Good, bad, or indifferent.
I feel like a ritual is something that is fairly scripted. It can be passed along to someone else so that they mm-hmm. can perform that ritual mm-hmm. with mm-hmm. high fidelity. Exactly. So maybe on the habit of making coffee is just your habit, but the way you go mm-hmm. through the process of making the coffee, of the bean, grinding your beans and getting your the temperature right, just like so, and using a certain kind of pour over technique or whatever might be something that could be a ritual.
Yeah. So is it not really a question of interpretation? I like Anna's example of making coffee. It's how you make your coffee, how much importance you give or you admit to the ritual if it's a ritual. It could be a habit if you go on autopilot in the morning and you make a coffee and you go like rot to your desk or wherever else. But it could be a ritual if you go and take great care in preparing coffee. So is it not really a question of nuance and well, interpretation, really?
But you can turn it into a ritual if on purpose. You can ritualize it, or not. So I think a lot of brands would kind of are trying, like Nespresso, like they will try to kind of they see a habit, and they will try to kind of enhance it or turn it into maybe a ritual. So the Heinz Ketchup example, for instance, I don't think it's very spiritual,
yeah, but they lack spirituality. They might try to make it a ritual, and they spend many $1 million to make it a ritual, but they still lack spirituality. So it just works like 75%.
I don't know, because
I
the
think there's
example of teeth brushing and how you teach your children how to brush their teeth and make it a ritual, or help them with, or every evening you read a book to your children. It's not very spiritual, but I think it's a ritual, and you teach them through the ritual, and it's not very scripturalized.
I think
I had the opportunity.
Valerie?
I had the opportunity to participate in some meetings at the headquarters of Amazon in Seattle, and they have a very specific way of starting meetings. And whenever they have a meeting, the person who is organizing the meeting makes a one-pager and notes the story of the meeting. And everybody comes into the room and settles in, sits down, talks to the colleagues, how are you, etc. And after a while, they all sit down and they read in complete silence. They read the memo. And it makes obvious for everybody, okay, after saying hello to each other, now we focus and we take, with respect for the work that the person who started this meeting, we take in whatever message or whatever information is needed for us to be able to fully engage in this meeting. And so it started as a habit, but in the end, I don't know if they call it a ritual. I don't think so. But to me, it was very much bringing these people into a certain mindset, bringing them to focus and giving them the opportunity to respectfully address what this person had prepared. And so everybody was very much into the meeting and engaged. So to me, it looked like a ritual because it brought people into a different mindset.
Yeah.
I'm going to attempt here.
Let me just do one thing now, which is if we can progress to the second exercise, we also have an opportunity to be able to talk a bit more because we'll be in a smaller room. And in that way, we can discuss more with our colleagues. And then we go back again to the global room. Yes? Marc, would that be okay? Can I explain the second exercise? No? Yeah?
Yeah. I just wanted to say, I created a new mural that is just one room mural. So it's not the big one with all the elements on it. One option would be to send people there and they just get to look at it and have a conversation about it. They can use Post-it notes, but it's just going to be everybody in the same place. So we can either do that, which might be better performance, or we can go to the bigger one. But I just don't know if using the mural is facilitating the conversations that people are having or not.
For me, it was a good reference. We kind of moved off the mural, but we're able to look at the template and have a conversation around it.
Mm-hmm. So I'm going to put another link in the thing, and then you guys as a group, once you get in your room, you can decide if you want to go to the mural you were in before or go to this new one. And this new one, basically, you can just look at it like you were saying, Brittany, and see if it. Just use that as a way of having a conversation. So I'm going to put that in the chat. So there's a new link, and I'll send you all back to your breakout rooms. Is everybody ready to go back into hyperspace?
Are we going back to the same rooms, or are we going to be in different?
Going to go back to the same rooms? How much time do we want to leave, Pedro? 10
Probably
minutes?
10 minutes, 10 minutes, yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's.
Let me just check that. 10 minutes. Okay, I'm going to give you guys 10 minutes. Enjoy yourselves in hyperspace. We'll see you back here in about 10 minutes. Hey guys, I think you should all be going to a meeting room. If not, you can unmute and talk to me until I get you into a meeting room. I'm working on that right now. Oh yeah, you guys came in late, I think. Let me put
Marc,
you.
how are we supposed to get to the meeting room?
I'm going to do that right now. So I didn't realize you had come in late. So I need to manually put you in another room.
Oh, got it.
Okay. Hold on just a second.
I was in group 1 last time.
Oops, sorry. You might be going to another group. I'm sorry. I didn't know you were in another group, Vitka. Okay.
Okay, no worries.
Oh, you were in 1?
No,
I
it's all
see
good.
you. Okay, I've got you. There you go.
And Marc, I was in 5. This is James.
Okay.
But I dropped
Sorry.
and had to rejoin.
There you go. And Donna, were you in a room before? Donna, can you hear me? Nope. Okay. And then Vitka, I think you're going to have to accept to go into the breakout room if you want to go. Hi, Zimina, you're having a lot of problems, I think, yes? With the, are you in now? Okay, Zimina, I can't hear you. Furquan, would you like to go to one of the meeting rooms where there people are in different meeting rooms? I can put you in a meeting room. Sound good? Yeah, I can't hear you.
Contributed much because I've just joined, so I don't know what happened in the last 40 minutes or so.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you can just stay here if you want.
Yeah, I will. I'll do that.
I'm in the main. Yeah, I'm in the main meeting room. What you can do is you can go to, I'm going to put a link in the chat.
Okay.
And you can go there and you can kind of see the template that people have been playing with. And we've been talking about rituals, and we did two exercises. People are working on the second exercise. And if you go to that mural, you should be able to just cut and paste that link into a browser.
Super.
You should be able to see what's going on. And then we're going to be coming back, having a bit of a discussion in about 4 minutes.
Fair.
And then we have a backstage session that happens after the hour. So it's informal, where everybody will come back, and anybody who wants to stay and chat can do that at that point.
Great. Look forward. Thank you.
You're welcome. Ximena, you want to just stay here and wait for people to come back, or do you want to go to one of the meeting rooms? It's up to you. Oh, actually, she's been having problems with her connection. Actually, I think I can share that canvas. I will do that with you right now. So Furquan, you should see that. I'm not sure if I'm saying your name correctly, but you should be able to see what's going on at. I
can see that. I can see. I'm just trying to zoom into that to see how big I can make it.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Appreciate
that, Marc.
For you. Yeah.
Yeah, great. Super. Yeah, I can read it now. Great. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah, so obviously we're looking at rituals for online meetings, and we're looking at the before, during, and after parts. And we had some technical problems. Hi, Ximena. I can't hear you, but it's good to have you back. I know you've been jumping in and out and having some technical problems. We had some issues with using Mural. We had too many people going in there, and it just kind of slowed down to a halt. So this is just people in there having using this template as a way of having a smaller conversation in a group like this. And they're talking about what are the types of rituals you can have at different points before, during, and after an online meeting. So that's the conversation that's going on. And it's going, have you used Mural before, Furquan? I can't hear you, you're on mute, sorry.
No, I haven't. I've tried using it. It gets a little complex when I sit into it. So I need to learn it, to be honest.
Yeah, it's fairly intuitive, but it's also as a facilitator, when you're running the meetings, you have to really think through all of the details and test everything. And I think we have learned a lot in this session about what you can do and what you can't do using Mural. So that's always fun.
Yeah, I did this about 2 weeks ago on a COVID-19 webinar, similar webinar from South Africa, and they were using Mural.
Oh, right.
And the facilitator wasn't as smooth as you. So
well,
so we lost the whole empathy map in one go.
Oh, really? Yeah. Yeah, so it's really hard to get so many people into.
Yeah, we were 44 of us then.
Yeah. Let me just hop over here and see what we're doing with the breakout. I'm going to stop sharing my room, or sorry, my screen real quick, because I have to be able to get the other controls to see how much. Yep, people should be coming back now.
Okay, I'm going to mute myself now.
Okay. Welcome back, everybody. So here's a ritual. Everybody put your hands in the air and do that. And then go to the left. And go to the right. Oh, that's so cool. And you dance it, shake it all about. Yeah. All right. That's so much fun. Welcome back. I was not in one of the breakout rooms, but I had a couple of people here. We were chatting and watching a little bit what was going on in that second mural. We got Pedro back. Are you back in the room, Pedro? You're on mute, buddy.
Yes, I was in mute. Yeah. So we're back, and we had a nice conversation of some new rituals or habits that are popping up in these new online sessions. And there were some really nice examples, including energizers to start the meeting with, and also having a coffee break if you have a longer one and you actually establish a moment for a coffee break, as we seem to forget that during these online sessions. But some other examples, people do say something. We just have a few more minutes, but do share interesting stuff that you had on your sessions. Hello.
I have maybe one thing to share.
Yeah. Go ahead.
So I tend to let everybody speak in the beginning of the meeting because it's very uncomfortable to start speaking, especially on online ones. So giving a very quick exercise so everyone can say a word or two.
Yeah. Vaiko, where do you come from?
Estonia.
Estonia. Okay, lovely place. I've been in Tallinn and Pärnu. Beautiful.
We come from Pärnu.
All right. Okay. Yeah. So actually, we had a professor from Finland a couple of weeks ago, and she was saying that in these online sessions, she would have with her students, they would all be, from a cultural perspective, they would be on mute and with no video. And so she would be staring at like 40 blank images, all black. And she had no idea of if she was getting across to students. Do you guys also have that kind of impact? Or
yeah, we have the exact same thing here. Yeah. I have to specifically tell people to switch on the video.
Okay.
So very shy.
It was probably me who was talking about that experience. Hello.
Hello. Yes.
So a question I have on that, introvert versus extrovert. It's a great question because extroverts jump in and talk first. How do you bring introverts out in an online meeting? It's a great question.
For me, it's very important
you just call them out if you're the facilitator of the meeting.
Yeah. Vaiko was giving the nice example of let them talk in the beginning. Yeah, Vaiko, anything else?
Yeah, well, the same thing applies across the whole meeting, making sure that the talkers wouldn't fill the space, and designing the experience, the exercises that you give to people around, like giving everyone a slot to talk.
Yeah.
So yeah, and one thing I do differently when there is this sharing. If you have like people putting ideas on Post-its and then sharing one by one, in physical meetings, I used to let them do them one by one. Everybody would share all their ideas, and then the next one would come. But in the online meetings, I let them do one by one. So one shares one idea, next one shares one idea. So
Right.
there is like, everybody is engaged all the time.
Yeah, it makes sense.
There is also this, sorry.
Excuse me, I'm sorry. I do want to just announce that the formal program is over, but as is our ritual, we're having, we do a half an hour after each one of these web jams to invite you backstage for additional conversation. So I just wanted to kind of formally say that we're done with the web jam and thank any of you who have to go because we know everybody's busy and well, everybody's in Zoom meetings and stuff like that back to back if you're anything like me. But we're going to hang out for another half an hour. So please hang out and let's have this. We'll continue the chat here.
Can I ask, so Colin, are you still here?
Colin, calling for Colin.
Calling for Colin, New Zealand, sorry, South Africa. Calling for South Africa, you're still there?
No, he was
No, he's not, okay.
Yeah,
oh, you are there. Yeah, you are there. Colin, you introduced, I think 2 web jams ago, you introduced a sort of what I started calling the sound wave with the, can you, because I wanted to create that as a ritual for ending our sessions. So could you introduce that quickly, the your
sure.
sound, yeah.
You mean this one here?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, there's all right. So I think we've got these frames and I think it's worth exploring how we can spill outside beyond the frames and bringing our body and sound into the process. So imagine, so everyone do this. Wake up in the morning like an animal and a good stretch. Oh, and make a sound. Oh. Put your mute off. Put your mute off.
Yeah, you have to mute off.
That is very low sound, and that is getting louder and louder, and then getting softer and softer. So keep making that sound, stretching and making your sound.
Hey. I had to put the sound down. It was so loud. I think midnight here in KL, that woke up my kid.
Sorry.
It's okay, it's fine. I'll use headphones next time.
Well, that's going to be our ending ritual from now on. So it's our ending ritual. Thank you for introducing that to me, Colin. So, awesome. So we are backstage now, people. So if you need to leave, please, thank you very much for participating, being with us. Our backstage is basically our, bye Jeroen, if you are leaving. This is just our kind of our moment of chit-chatting, and if anybody wants to have, you know, another, like ask another question or to go a little deeper into the conversation. So this experiment was again really interesting. It's somehow we are learning a lot, but in my mind it takes every time we're like, what? Why didn't we know that? And so every time there's a moment. So this time we try to kind of go back to the content or go into the content really quickly, because last time it took way too long for us to introduce everything and talk about. So we've learned, like, you know, you don't talk too much and don't go don't go into agendas too long. I still felt that we could have been faster. I don't know. Was it really interesting that again we're kind of, and now this technology is with Mural is like no, it wasn't there. I think for that part. What do you feel, Pedro?
I don't think that you can use Mural for 20-minute breakout sessions or 15 minutes or whatever. It takes more time. It takes half a day, a few weeks, whatever. You can use it for collaboration. No, I think you can use it for collaboration, but more for sprints that have a certain duration, you know. And if you just want to use it like for, okay, go there, 10 minutes, let's make an exercise, let's make like we would be in a real workshop or something like that. It just doesn't work because technology is more. There's too much barriers between using the tool and progressing on the content. You know, so
what would be a better tool? What would be better?
Yeah, I think that there is a tool. I think that you have to use the tools differently in this series of webinars. So you have to put boards on Mural or Miro that are ongoing, that are also ongoing between the sessions, and that make that links between the sessions, so that there also can be a story to be told, etc. And not necessarily use it during the sessions. Go to use Miro.
That's actually quite an interesting idea. So what we've been doing now, we started this series like very spontaneously as an idea. We want to give something to the community and learn together with the community in this time of crisis. So the way it has been developing, first of all, we started calling the Wednesday Web Jam, which we invented a couple of 2 weeks ago or so. And then we thought maybe it's good to have the theme like return. So last week we talked about rituals, and then now we do it again. So next week we're going to talk about gamification. So gamification will be our theme. And then that's also going to be 2 Wednesdays. We're going to talk about gamification. So to your point, Sylvain, you could say actually between those 2 sessions on gamification, you could have a mural, for instance, a space where people can then maybe do some work or have it at least as a space.
Yes, exactly. Because I don't think that it really works like in these 10 minutes breakout sessions or something like that. You know, not with these tools and in this format. You know, this format is for being very, very interactive. So what was interesting today is like a lot of discussions in the breakout rooms, more time and exchange, and then reporting and etc. So I think that's the best value that can be taken out of these sessions, especially when they are open webinars like this. Now, of course, if you're on a project for a client, which is maybe much more focused, you can maybe do it a little bit differently. But in this kind of sessions, I think that's the best format. And but I also have to say, you're very intelligent, Arne. You know, you're immediately stepping into the new reality and using the tools to design the tools, to make a design thinking process to find out what is the best format, because you also feel and understand that in the coming years we probably will have to do our work more and more like this, even after the hot phase of the crisis.
Well, thank you very much. I'm very happy that we taped this, and this is going to be actually recorded on, so I can take that little part and remind you later of the fact that you told me I was intelligent. Anyone else has a thought or feeling or anything to share?
There was one thing that I thought was really interesting that Johanna told me in our little breakout. And I think these talks are nice, that you have like 4 or 5 people where you can have a more intimate talk about the topic. And I thought it was really interesting that and so I wanted to share, or maybe you can also do it, Johanna, about the copy shop, what you told me. Maybe you can tell that. I really think that's an interesting idea.
Oh yeah, I can share that one. Today we were planning a futures thinking workshop, and we were thinking that kind of trying to figure out how to get people to get into the certain mood or feel welcome or whatever, because now we are doing it online and we can't do the things that we would normally do physically when we meet, because like you were saying, we hang out our coats and we talk about the weather and did you find the parking space and take some coffee or something. So we decided to have an invitation for the participants that will set the mood and kind of stage the thing that they will be arriving into a coffee shop or a coffee place, and everybody should bring a coffee mug and something to snack or whatever. And that we will go that around in the beginning, because that will kind of set the mood that we are doing something actually together and we are there together.
What I really like about that idea is that because of course physically we are all apart and we're all in different situations, but we have a very powerful mind. We can imagine being in a place together, and you just have to put that idea on the table, and then everybody suddenly is in the same room imaginally. So I think
and in 5 years we will be there.
That makes our experience a shared experience.
But also share the Zoom background to add to that feeling.
Yeah. In 5 years, we will be holographically together. So
exactly. So nice.
And the question will be different, I think. But again, I think that this format is very good as a kind of communities of practice format. So with these small groups being able to exchange between each other without too much, structure and doing many things in 10 minutes or 20 minutes or something like that. So it comes also somehow close to the working out loud circles, because when you have the breakout sessions between 5 people, they learn from each other. So it's a great learning, collective social and learning experience that you have initiated on with this series of webinars. And I think that's the greatest value out of it for them right now.
Well, I think, sorry, Marc, go ahead, Marc.
Yeah, I was just going to say that last night I participated in a session where a group called Voltage Control, it's based in Austin, invited anybody who wanted to show up to be part of like a 2-hour, we're going to practice stuff. It's a friendly audience of other practitioners, and they invited you to facilitate a thing. And facilitated online, and it was fascinating, right? I did my favorite, which is stakeholder mapping, and I did not sign up for it in advance, but there were I don't know 40 people who showed up, and they didn't have people to facilitate, so I said, okay, well, I'll just do this. So it's totally on the fly, and it was an incredible learning experience. So maybe Arna and the crew, maybe we should think about doing that. Something like that, or it's an idea, but what I would encourage everybody to do is, if you haven't done this yet, if you haven't been responsible for putting together a Zoom and using Mural or using Google Docs, or whatever the simplest way you want to do it, yes, COVID-19, this whole thing is going to pass. I'm very curious what the future is going to be, because I think it's going to be a long time, and I don't know how long that long time is, but it's going to be a long time before people are going to be willing to move Post-it notes and share Sharpies in a real world environment. I mean, it's going to be months before
Marc,
that happens.
I just read this article from this guy from Harvard, and they did the study, and they said it might take until 2025 until we get rid of the social distancing, right? Which is a really scary thought, right?
Yeah, of course, that's where there is a term coined right now, which is low touch economy.
Yeah, exactly. So thinking about that,
and when you are in education, sorry, go ahead, Marc.
Yeah, but to do this work, what I realized, one thing I learned and I'd never thought about it, right? So we had a mural with a stakeholder map, and we had, super simple concentric circles, and gave the instructions. But what I realized is that what normally happens is, when you have the stakeholder map up on the wall, or if you draw it on a whiteboard, and people are moving Post-it notes around, that I'll bump up against Pedro and I'll say, this one, how about if we move that one? And that you can't have those conversations one-on-one next to each other kinds of conversation. It was just an insight that kind of changes the dynamic of the way that you have to facilitate. And I think we all know that even if everything goes back to normal, that companies are going to say, you could do it during COVID-19. I want you to do remote now, right? Yeah. So that's it. It puts less of a hole in the atmosphere. We don't all have to get in those metal tubes and fly all over the world all the time. and be away from our families. There's all kinds of benefits to it. I'm not saying don't go back to in-person stuff, but the demand is gonna just accelerate for being able to do this live stuff. So these kinds of opportunities that where there's tons of them now where you can go and practice that. Everybody needs to be jumping at those opportunities.
And I think also that we have to reinvent our business models behind that, because I feel that we as consultants, facilitators, etc., trainers, we are confronted to the same situation than newspapers were like 10, 50 years ago, where they didn't know what was their future business model to survive. So the real good journalism, I would say. And they found their kind of business model because they have paid digital content, and then they have this type of offerings, etc. And they diversified in, and I think we will be challenged as well on our business models to monetize also our new way of doing, because I think that these kind of social learning sessions will be the main of our activities in the future, and so we also have to find the business models behind these new type of activities, I think.
If I can expand on this, I think also in the conversation that was in the chat, the community that we have here potentially is a community of practitioners, and we're all maybe used to being flexible and learning really fast and trying to adapt and everything. But the clients that we have not necessarily are like that. And what does that mean for business models? And even basically bridging the gap in terms of technology. I mean, people knowing and how the Zoom works for them, and people not having stable internet connections and all those things. I think it's also going to be, how do we find a workaround, or basically how do we work with that, and what do we charge for? Teaching people to use the tools, teaching people to, the working.
Yeah, that's a good subject for one of the sessions, Arne. Our future business model.
Yeah, totally. Well, I think so. For me, I feel that besides all the the terrible things that are happening in the crisis, for me, this is a way we are speeding up things that we should have done anyway, and so it is a wave that we're catching, and I think that learning in this space together, learning how to do this. So I don't think there are answers. I think there's an opportunity to kind of try out things, experiment, just go and do stuff. Just go and do and try this. Do it together with your community, do it together with your clients, because everybody is in the same boat in that sense. We're all kind of wondering, what does this all mean? Why should it, how do we do this? And business models, and how do we teach? I mean, we for instance, I part of my business is Design Thinkers Academy, which is all about putting people in the same space, very close to each other, and doing all these games. That everything that is now totally impossible is basically our business. So, I mean, how do we then translate that to the new reality? How do we do that, and to our clients as well? So how do we train them? How do we teach them? How do we coach them? How do we guide them, et cetera, et cetera? So I think there's no answers, but there is an opportunity for us to kind of look at. So this is again me promoting this anti-fragile thinking, because I'm like feel totally big fanboy of that. Is this idea of we are in this crisis. There are things that are falling apart. We should not rebuild those things, because those are like the houses that fell apart because of the earthquake. Don't build the same houses. There are houses, there are things that remain. Those are stable, those are great, maybe we can use them. But there are also things that are getting stronger. Sometimes these are things that are just personal connections, the people that you work with, or other things. So a feeling inside of you, like I should actually do this or whatever. There are things that are becoming stronger because of a crisis that accelerate because of it. Those are the things you should kind of focus on, and that, at least my person. So sorry, someone wanted to
So
Jim?
One of the things I'm curious about, I run peer groups and normally fly and meet face to face, and I've been having a lot online because all these business people are worried about what's going on, and I've applied a lot we've learned here. But one of the things we don't have here are people that are not, everybody here is fairly tech savvy. So I keep running into challenges with the people who aren't tech savvy. They can't figure out how to unmute them. They can't, the idea of putting Mural out there would just be a disaster. So, or at least I perceive it would be. So I kind of wonder on this at some point, there's a whole bunch of ideas in my mind, trying to do a stand-up one, trying to meet again with Team 9 or something, just to see if you build a bond. But I also think about this, how do you, in this whole idea of like the ritual or the process, if you're not tech savvy, what are you experiencing and how do you bring this along? Because it's great if you're tech savvy, but if you're not, well, how do I make this work? And that's the biggest thing I see missing in what we're talking about is that.
Yes, I absolutely agree. Thank you, Jim, because I was thinking maybe you guys want to make a session on how to convince clients to try and dive into that, because I have the impression that everyone in this round has a lot of online facilitation experience, and I really like the learning process. But it's like I'm carefully trying to convince clients to do it, and I have clients that have been with me for a long time and they trust me. I can tell them do this and they will do it. So that's not really the problem, but still they're struggling with with internet capacity. I'm in Germany. They're struggling with equipment. It would be absolutely impossible to integrate like Mural into workshop, even if there were only 5 people. But it's like, how can we design it for people so that you have so that they would go the first step, and maybe it can be via rituals. I found rituals highly interesting, and to get out of the crisis better off than we got into the crisis. And I don't want to rebuild what we had like 100%, because that's not what I need. But try to tell them, look, there's something at stake and there's something you can get out of it. And I would love having a session discussing that.
Idea. So
first we have to see who is going to survive as clients.
Yes. Yes.
So Peter, I see Peter Madsen. I don't know if you probably.
Yeah. I'm listening in.
Where are you?
I'm at the West Coast and I just arrived in the car. That's why I'm stepping out, because I got too much of the car. I was listening to you guys while driving. So I just had to let out the kids to play in the hills here. It's a very special nature area at the West Coast. So you have the ocean right behind here, and everything else is just flat. Used to be ocean here as well. So that's where I'm.
Because I was thinking, maybe, is that a fake background?
The ocean, the ocean behind the ocean.
The ocean behind the ocean.
It is actually. Look at the interaction design here. It's amazing.
Yeah. Wow, it's amazing.
I had a meeting. I had a meeting with a friend lately where I was in a house with a swimming pool, and he put on this fake background, and he didn't know that it was actually a real swimming pool I had behind me. So I walked there and put my hand in the water, like, look at the interaction here. He was like,
that's a new trend, right? People, this is all fake here too, right? This is not real. Yeah. I don't, mine is totally different.
Humor will be different as well.
That timing, especially off-timed humor. Yeah.
So we have about 5 minutes left in our backstage, so first of all, to me, again, like every time, so this, I think we should learn something from this, by the way, because this is always the best conversation. So somehow we're like, no, we have to have a session first. Maybe this is the thing. I don't know. Maybe, I don't know. So anyone wants to kind of share some wise words, some famous last words?
I just I put in a post on the chat. This is a webinar by Scott Anthony of Insight on the post-COVID scenario. It's about a 40-minute talk. It's worth watching because he's talking about what change will be and how much will be sticking to it, and what innovation will do for various economies in Europe and, of course, in the United States.
It's in the chat?
I put it in the chat, yeah.
Okay.
The link is there. So anybody wants to watch, it's a very interesting one, and I think I posted on WhatsApp to many people. A lot of appreciation for it. Scott's actually, Scott Anthony is with a company called Innosight, which was created by the late Clayton Christensen.
Ah, yes. Yeah.
So that's, yeah.
Colin, you wanted to say something?
Yeah, I don't have many wise words, but I just wanted to, personally, I'm interested in performance, and often ritual is something which is enacted. So ritual is often performed. And this dimension, sort of theater dimension of the closeness of the living organism, and that's been taken away from us. And so how can we perform that our living organism, how can we perform that in this format? And I think that way of making it interactive, for the gentleman was asking about making it, or that lady, sorry, if we make it interactive in interesting ways, we could possibly become a little bit closer, even though we're physically separated. I think there's activating emotional connection and having fun and playing. Playing is a big ritual.
That's a very good point. That's one thing I'm particularly struggling with, the play and having fun without kind of losing control of the feeling like, oh, we have to kind of, Laura, you were...
Just a quick thing. Maybe could be useful to reconsider the sense of presence. So because we are not a body in this room, but we are a presence in a way. So maybe I thought in this direction. If Peter.
Yeah, I'm in another group where we test exercises from applied improvisation and try to see like what used to work in the physical space and how can they just be tweaked a little bit. Maybe some of it doesn't have to be radical, but just what can be tweaked a little bit. Like, you know, storytelling games like one word at a time becomes one sentence at a time, etc. And what tools can you play with that reproduces some of the same principles that are behind applied improvisation, for instance. So I think one has to go, that's one way to do it. And also taking the camera out into space. So we're not just sitting in offices, maybe giving different interaction, different experiences, being a little bit more experimental with that.
Good point.
Claudia here. I would like to add to, I don't, so many faces, so to just what you said to presence before. So I think it's really important to really ground oneself, to be present to whatever is going to happen in that 90 minutes or 75 minutes or whatsoever. And that's why it's important, I think, to really take into consideration mind, body, imagination, like all of these things that we do normally in a physical world, but to take it also and to think about it. How can we weave it in our 90 minutes and to bring and to play with all of what we are, because we are all of that. And so adding to what Colin was saying, like we were moving before, so to take all of these senses that we have and to really design a design session exactly with that in mind. And Colin is already, for example, and just to give you an example, I also do online sessions, and what I always do is dancing. I always have music, and even when we design, I always have normally background music. I didn't do it like here now a little bit, but like background music. And then depending how the flow of the session is, to build in different movements or dancing or what. So every time it's different because there are so many ideas. So I think that is really something important, because this is what we also like. And I think there is something for everyone. And what really showed with the dancing is because we loosen up and we might have, or most of them have smiling faces, and when they move, you know what it does with us. So the energy that flows, because we are energy, it flows through the screens. So I hope that you also feel my excitement about this. And so maybe then the next time we can do a session for dancing, and I would like to be happy to lead the whole, I don't know how many people are here, and we do a joint session dancing within the session. So
My suggestion would be to join that idea, to start the sessions with the mindfulness exercise, and to think of bringing a little bit more art into the sessions in a way or another, be it by dancing or whatever. So there might be also other ways of doing it.
All right. So we are actually at the end of the backstage, even the backstage. So there's no backstage to the backstage. Well, actually, there is, but you're not allowed to come in. So we are going to we're going to end it here. We have to because that's part of I think really important. I find it always really weird to kind of just switch it off because I would love to talk for hours with you people.
Part of the ritual.
Yeah. Yeah. So I really want to say thank you so much to all the people that are here, and so Pedro, any last words from you? Any feeling?
Yeah, just to say that next week, if you're interested, we'll have gamification, which is a topic that I actually love. I always see it as kind of a fabulous subset of design thinking. It's kind of applied design thinking in a very smart, intelligent way. Very complex, very interesting. But so if you have time for next week at the same time, Wednesdays, we'll see you guys again.
Cool. Let's go do the wavy hands. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Everybody. Bye.
Bye. Thank you. See you next time.
Bye, everybody. Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Thanks again, Design.
Bye.
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 Bye-bye.